good morning again, or day, or evening, whatever it may be. Welcome to Terrible Fishing. Please like and subscribe below. In this episode, we're going to talk about rods. First time I went to buy a rod in a store, I was dumbfounded. Just dumbfounded. I mean, there were so many to choose from. I didn't know the difference between a spinning one and a bait casting one. All the, light, ultralight, medium heavy, medium extra heavy, fast action. There's so much. Even in the Kastking brand. I mean, there are dozens, sometimes to choose from within the same rod. It's just, which one do you choose? And that's what we're going to talk about today. What's the differences between some of these rods? What would be a good all-around rod for somebody? And some of them are very, very specific in the way they, in their its attributes for fishing. So first, we'll talk about just the two differences. Bait casting and a spinning rod. All right. There's two real easy ways to see these things. So, a bait casting rod, I'll try, it's not a big rune. You see this trigger? This thing right here on the bottom? That's a bait casting rod. Pretty simple, huh? You see this? It's a bait casting rod. Pretty simple. Also, its guides are very small. A spinning rod, its guides are very big, especially the first guide. It's really, really, really big. So, first things first, that's that. It's got a little trigger on the bottom. You got yourself a bait casting rod. So, what's the differences? All right. Well, simply, a bait casting rod has a bait caster on it. It's got a very different looking reel on it. A spinning rod, it has a spinning reel on it. Very different. Which one's better for beginners? Well, this one. A spinning rod is better for a beginner. It just is. It's easier to understand, it's easier to cast, it's less bothersome for you, and it's got a very fast learning curve to it. So, why do we go with a bait caster? Well, we go with a bait caster for one reason: accuracy. I can nail a very small spot with a bait casting rod when it comes to aiming, and it's a one-handed, fairly easy cast, but it does take practice. And in another video, I recommend the Kastking Spartacus Plus for you to learn on. It really is the better reel to do it on. So if you want to try bait casting, try the Spartacus Plus bait casting reel. It has two braking systems to help reduce the bird's nest or the backlashing that happens, and that'll drive you nuts. First time it happened to me, I didn't understand. I had some kid in the tackle shop at the lake to help me undo it. I have no idea, none whatsoever. So now you've got all these choices. Oh my goodness, you've got spinning ones. I mean, you've got drop shot rods. You've got punching rods. You've got flipping rods. You've got all these different rods. You've got all these different things in them. So first, should you buy a one-piece or a two-piece? Well, that's up to you. It really is. So I have two here. This is the Resolute, which I happen to think is the best spinning rod on the market. And also, if you have an Academy Sports near you, you can get this rod with the matching reel, the Resolute reel, which is based on this Valiant Eagle reel. And these are two-piece rods. Now, some people don't like two-piece because they think that you lose something at the connection for the sensitivity that when you feel the fish. But a good 2-piece rod, or even multiple pieces, fly fishing rods, some of them are 4 pieces. If they're made well, it transfers any kind of feel, any kind of vibration from here into this blank. And it feels just like a 1-piece. So a good 2-piece rod works like a 1-piece. People that want 1-pieces is that they don't want this weak link on there. But in the Resolute, this is not a weak link. On a good rod, you can have your cake and eat it too. Portability and still sensitivity all the way down to where you're holding it. Now, this right here, this is called a blank. The rod itself, it's called a blank. And the blank transfers any kind of vibration down to our hand if you've got an area that's exposed. So this right here, this is the blank, and I can feel anything that the fish is doing. Bait casters also have that exposed area too. So you want to be able to feel what's on that line. And when you do, set the hook. So this is called the blank. These are called guides. And this is called the reel seat, where you put the reel. So now you know sort of the parts of the rod. A 1-piece, you can feel the vibration easier without a weak link. A 2-piece, a good one, doesn't really matter. Again, this is my favorite rod. So, by far, my favorite rod. Now, let's talk a little bit about the rod itself, the blank. Now, these rods are made with no industry standard. I'll just tell you that. So someone will say 24-ton, this or that. A company can say anything they want and justify it easily. So you really go by the reputation of the rod and the rod company. And when you go, I usually go on like Amazon and look and see what everybody's talking about. What everybody's saying about it. Is it good? Is it bad? Did it break? Did it not break? You're not going to get a 5-star, with thousands of views. You're just not. But you will get, 4.5 stars or better. And you're always going to have, everything breaks. Everything. But I will tell you that Kastking stands behind their product. And they have a 1-year warranty on it. Even if you broke it in half, they will get you another rod at half price. So, this one right here, the reel, I lost a nut on it. They sent me another one free of cost. They really are a very good company. That's why I like them so much. So, let's look at the rod. It has what's called a backbone to it. This backbone. And where the backbone starts is where, or ends, is where it starts to bend. So in this one, you can see that the backbone is right here. And then the rod starts to have this bend to it. Now, this is a big deal. It really is. Because this changes the application of the rod. Now, for an overall rod, just an all-encompassing rod, usually buy a medium fast action. So, fast action is a tip that's sensitive. So, medium fast action, great all-around rod. I like 7-footers, 7.5-foot rods because it gives me more sensitivity at the very tip. And I'm able to set the hook better and cast farther. So that's me. But everybody, I'm telling you, every fisherman's going to have a preference. But medium fast action, great all-around rod. But, like this rod, if I tried to throw this on it, it would have a problem because this is a 1.5 ounce lure. This rod has a rating on it. It suggests, has a recommendation of what pound line to put on it, and how heavy your weight is going to be put on it. So this one is 3/8 to an ounce. This is a medium heavy fast action rod with a 10 to 20 pound line weight. Now, this is just a suggestion. On this rod, I've got an 8-pound line weight. I happen to like 8 pounds. But you can put, it recommends 10 to 20 pounds, so right in that range. But what I want you to sort of remember, too, is the weight of the lure. If I tried to throw this on this rod, it would have a hard time with it. It just would in casting. So, what did I have to do? Because I like some of my big weights. You look at a rod, and you need something with a bigger backbone, a stronger backbone to handle something this big and this heavy. This is an extra heavy rod. And if we bend it, notice the backbone, it moves way up onto the rod, way up on the rod. And the other one was way back here, this one's way up here. And this rod is an extra heavy fast action rod. So I still have a very fast action tip, but I have a very long backbone to it. And this will help me cast really large lures and pull in very heavy fish. This one right here, I told you, is an extra heavy fast action rod. So I have a fast action tip, long, strong backbone to it. This can handle up to 2 ounces, from a 1/4 ounce to 2 ounces of weight on it. And this is something that I would use for my big largemouth bass, punching, through weeds, heavy weights. I have very heavy, deep diving lures, and I knock the bottom off on those, and it's just great. Steelhead, my Chinook, things like that. This is a great rod for that. And I use a reel like the Armor X, QUICKLINKS Armor X by Kastking, in order to handle all of the weight I'm going to put on it. I really should dust that window off. Still working on my office here, my cave. So this right here is an extra heavy for larger, heavier weights. And they recommend a line weight of 14 to 30 pounds on this one. Now, I happen to have a 20-pound fluorocarbon on this one, and it's the Covert, brand new fluorocarbon by Kastking. So when you choose a rod, you want to choose a rod that can handle the size of baits that you're going to be putting on it, and the line that you're going to have on it. This is a harder pole to cast with. It just is, because it just doesn't have that flex and throw that this has. It may be a harder pole for you to, for the pole to cast, to set the hook naturally. So this one, I will have to be a better fisherman with an extra heavy. I do not recommend an extra heavy for the beginner fisherman. I just don't, because it requires a lot more attention to the activity that you're partaking on. You just are. And a medium or a medium heavy, the pole itself has so much more flexibility to it, and that when the fish pulls on it, it'll pull back in a more natural way and help you set that hook. So really good all-around fishing pole would be a medium or a medium heavy. The extra heavy is going to be one for the more experienced fishermen, and one that is going to be using much larger lures. Then there's called the ultralights, or the lightweight one, the light ones. Now those right there are fun, but they're like the extra heavy. They require more experience of a fisherman, because you just can't muscle in a 8-pound trout, or an 8-pound trout or an 8-pound bass with a ultralight. You just cannot. They require finesse, and the ultralight or the light rods require some finesse to them, and also some skill from the fishermen. It's a lot of fun to use because you have to play the fish. You gotta let the fish run and play with that drag, and then pull them in and steer the fish. And so it is a very, very fun rod to use on big fish. It just is. I don't have an ultralight, and I want to get an ultralight, and I'm waiting because Kasting's got this new Zephyr reel coming that's hitting the market any day called the BFS. It's a bait finesse system, and it's a bait casting reel for light casting. So that's exciting, but I would only put that on an ultralight rod, and I would enjoy that a lot. So that really is one of my next ones besides fly fishing. So I need to start learning how to fly fish, and that's going to be a learning curve all in itself. So hopefully you've learned a little bit something. The manufacturers like Kastking tell you what type of fishing that you want to do. So if you're like swimmers, like to use a swimming bait, they've got poles that are suggested for swimming baits. There are some for jerk baits. So, jerk bait. So they're going to suggest a certain pole for jerk baits. But not all poles are going to be stuck in that lane. You can use a jerkbait pole for drop shotting if you want, but they have drop shot poles for that too. So all that stuff, to tell you the truth, this whole wall that I have here can have a dozen poles that are catered to each one of these things. I don't have that much money. That's why I also like Kastking, because it's affordable and it helps me have fun out on the water. It also makes an extremely good pole. When you look at some of these poles and the way they're made up, these blanks, the blank have, with every company, they have sort of a proprietary design to them. The poles for Kastking, the spinning pole is an IM7 blank, and this pole, which is a very my extra heavy, anyway, it's made really, really well. So it's a much stronger blank than that one. I don't think you could go wrong with any Kastking pole. I really don't. Their perigee is considered one of the most popular and the most well-liked. The Resolute, the best when it comes to spinning. So if you're near an academy, go by, check them out. I mean, really, look at the Resolute combos. You cannot do a better all-around rod than a Resolute combo, and I would suggest 3,000 reel size. So that's another video. And as for bait casters, the Spartacus Plus is a great beginner reel. If you want probably the best, strongest reel on the market for the money, I would tell you to get the QUICKLINKS Armor X. It's got an aircraft aluminum frame in it, and it's extremely strong. Something that you only find in something that's like $90 for that one, for that reel. But and the Spartacus Plus is $40, so big difference between the two. They also make a bassinator, which is a lot like the Armor X, and it's $160. It's their top of the line. So wonderful reels all the way through their lineup. I mean, if you have a question about a reel, ask me about it. Drop a comment below, and I will answer it for you. And I have two Spartacus Plus reels. Obviously, I've got an Armor X reel. I've got their Emerald Eagle or Valiant Eagle reel. And there's more and more coming. So I hope that this helps you pick a rod out there, because rods can be very, very confusing, especially if you walked into a store And then if you go online to Amazon and you saw this huge list of all these different rods, it'd drive you nuts. It's scary, actually. So keep your lines tight, everybody. Please like, please subscribe below. And I hope that this little bit of information helps you pick the right rod for you.